Oh, Kia, what have you done? Who does stuff like this? Kia? I guess that's Korean engineering for you. So there we go.
Siri here. Let me know if I can help.
I'm not asking you, Siri. But I could use your help on this, Siri. Thank you for asking at this point when I'm pretty much done. Just like that, we've gone from not a single video on YouTube that tells you how to replace the wheel bearing on your Kia Stinger to one video on YouTube that tells you how to replace your front wheel bearing hub on a Kia Stinger. Hey everybody, what is up? It's Biff and you're back for another episode in the Fearless Mods Garage on the 2019 Kia Stinger GTS, where this dedicated video will show you how to remove and replace your wheel bearing hub on the front. I've got my part here from the great guys at Auffenberg Kia. Please remember to check them out in the link below. And without any further ado, let's jump into this job. Okay, so we have got obviously everything already taken apart in here. You don't need to pull out the fender liner to do this job, but we've got it off while we're doing the other adjustments and things on the car. And now we're going to go ahead and get at taking this off. We'll go ahead and open up this one, Kia Genuine Parts, from my buddies over at Auffenberg Kia. All right, sealed on the back with a electrical sensor here for our probably ABS, wheel speed sensor, all that good stuff. Now that we've taken a look at this nice shiny new one, let's go and get this old one off. It's like about a 17 maybe. Two 17mm bolts on the back side of these big old Brimbos. I'm gonna go get some zip ties to hold this up here. And I'm gonna go ahead and take off this 10mm bolt right here, just so we're not putting a bunch of pressure on that line while it's hanging. All right, brakes secured up here. Now we'll go ahead and get these Phillips heads out. My guess is I'm probably gonna have to use the impact driver. Okay, we've got our impact driver here and it's pointing in the right direction. So let's just give it a couple whacks. And there's that one. And there's that one. I tell you, this impact driver works pretty good. You can pick one up at the Harbor Freight or other discount tool store for pretty cheap, and they come in really handy when you don't want to try to booger up the threads here. All right, so now let's see if we can pull this off. Probably gonna take some wax here too, because it's a little bit rusted up around the hub. We'll do this with a dead blow first to see if it comes loose. If not, we might have to help it out. Nothing yet. Let's try coming from the back a little bit. There we go. And it's off. One big beefy rotor for the Stinger. I wish I could tell that there was something wrong with that bearing, but I can't. But trust me, it is not in the best shape. What I'm going to go ahead and do is take off the 4 10mm bolts on here so we can go ahead and get rid of this dust shield and just give ourselves a little bit extra room to work. Now we got our dust shield out of the way. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I think this is gonna be weird. These might have Allen heads. I gotta get back there with a mirror and take a look, but it doesn't feel like a bolt head back there. Okay, here, come take a look at this. So this is not just a bolt head, but it is a Torx head. And that kind of concerns me somewhat, because thankfully this car's not that old, but man, why would you do that on this kind of a component? Those are just going to be problematic and probably snap some torque heads off. Let's go ahead and see if we've got a Torx head bit big enough to get in there. And if we don't, we may have to run back to pick up something that we can work with. So I got a T50 here. I'm gonna see if this is the one. All right, so a couple things here we're gonna have to do. Number one, I gotta go get a larger Torx bit. It's bigger than T50, so we are gonna head to the parts store and see what we can find. Then the other thing we gotta do is, one of those bolts is directly behind the lower suspension arm. So we will have to pull at least one of those out. This one we might be able to get around, and these two here we should be able to get around, but that one is right behind this nut. So we at least need to take the nut off and drop it down. So let me go ahead and reconfigure this, and then we'll run out to the parts store. Let's try the T55 and hope this one fits. All right, good. Let's see if we can break these loose. That wasn't too bad. Okay, two. I think with an extension, I'll be able to clear this upper strut where it extends through. It kind of gets in the way. There we go. We got the three of them loose. I just got to drop this one control arm down so that I can get to that final bolt. We're going to put a nut on it and tap it with the hammer. All right, we're going to turn the wheel. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and loosen this nut up that I put on to protect the threads while I was hammering on it. And now we should have room to get in here. And we do. Okay, to get you in here for a closer look at what we've done here, you got the four bolts here that are holding on the hub. You can see we've got it loose now. They're all finger tight, but what we had to do was take off this nut so we could get this to drop down. But to drive it out, you put the nut back on so when you hammer on it, you're not messing up the threads up here. We got to drop down far enough. Didn't need to take it completely out, but we got to drop down far enough. And now we should be able to just pull all these out. Just spin them out by hand. You can see these are beastly bolts. They got the T55 Torx head, and they're just kind of a round mushroom top bolt. So that's the four of those. This should pop right out like this. Then we got a little retaining clip here. We'll just pull this little metal clip off if we need to. Pull that straight out, and then we can put that clip back on there so it's ready to go for the install. There we go. So now we'll just take and wipe this out a little bit. It shouldn't be too bad. It's aluminum, and we haven't had a whole lot of galvanic corrosion between this and the steel to this point because the thing's only a few years old. I am going to take one quick look here just to make sure there aren't any hidden cracks that I didn't notice in here that might have occurred to the hub when we had the wreck. And it looks good. That is just a simple visual inspection. Again, not seeing anything that's cracked or broken. So we still seem good to go here. Let's go ahead and get ready with our new hub here. Bring our connector through. Just snap it straight on. It slides up into position real nice, and back in with our four bolts. Right now I've just got them all snugged down with the ratchet. Now I'll go ahead and switch over to the breaker bar and make sure we get some good torque on there. See if I can do it without the extension so I get a better leverage on it. I am still going to go like a crisscross pattern here. So sometimes on this Torx, when you have, you can't get the alignment you need to get it to drop in the next time around, and you have a breakover like this, you can just flip it 180 degrees, and that changes up the angle on these so that you can maybe find a notch here where where it will drop in. Okay, I'm putting some serious leverage on those. So we can come back down here to the bottom and just check them all again. Okay, that's all 4 of those babies, like really torqued down to just man torque on a 1/2 inch breaker bar clear at the end. So that's some pretty good torque. Did go crisscross and went over them twice to make sure they're on there really good. So we are good to go with that bearing. Now we can go ahead and start running this back down on here. We do have our electrical connector on, so once we get that installed and the pin in it, we will be back to ready for the dust shield and the rotor. I think what I'll do is I'll probably put the jack right here under this so it's got pressure on it, pushing it down into that taper joint just a little bit better, because right now I'm just spinning this thing in its housing. That is tightened down. Let's see if we can get our pin in it. All right, pin is installed. There we go. Let's go ahead and put the rotor back on. So you got your new screw holes here. Just make sure you line them up with the rotor when you put them on. And then you can go ahead and put these back in. Now I'm not going to use the impact to put it on, other than just using it as a screwdriver. And the only purpose of these is just to hold the rotor in place while you do everything. It's not structural. The tire being bolted on is what holds the rotor in place permanently. So we've got that good to go. Looks like we're now ready to pull the brake caliper back down and slide it back in place. And because we didn't do a brake job on this, and it's still the same rotor, it should all just slide back in place, and we put the bolts back in. Like so. All right, beautiful. Now let's put our bolts in. 17s, I believe they were, yep. They're still going in by hand. So just tighten them down. Now that we got the wheel turned, we can apply some man torque. All right. Out with the old, in with the new, and this thing should be operating like a champ. This is the rear-wheel drive model. The all-wheel drive portion would be a little bit different. This hub would have a pass-through for the axle. It wouldn't just have a solid plug down inside there, so this bearing is a little bit different. Your application would be a little bit different. If you had to remove a nut from the front of this and pull that out, you would need to torque that nut to spec and everything else. Mine is only rear-wheel drive, so no, I don't know those specs, and I'm sorry I don't have an example to walk you through on that. But this should at least get you started and be pretty similar. That is a job complete for the wheel bearing. So hope you enjoyed it. Guys, I'm Biff. This is Fearless Mods. If you like this channel and you like the content, the do-it-yourself mindset when it comes into play, then go ahead and click like and subscribe down below. Come back and check in on all the other stuff that we got going on, and we'll catch you again real soon. Take care.